शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्य कृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः. So today we have to go to the next pramana, shabda pramana or agama pramana. Shabda pramanam nirupayitum upakramate आकांक्षा योग्यता आसक्तिमत पदानां कदंबकम वाक्यम शब्द प्रमाणम स्यात् शक्तम पदम इतीर्यते. So the Advaitins also have closely followed the Nayayikas in accepting three causes, akanksha, yogyata and asakti, as those which give rise to verbal cognition, and these three are considered to be auxiliary causes. Means for the Nayayikas, it is padajnanam tu karanam dwaram tatra padarthadihi shabdabodaha palam, then vrittidi sahakarini, he says. On hearing the isolated words in a sentence, you have the word meanings of the sentence, of the word meanings which constitute a sentence, and then the word meanings which they go together, they join together to give rise to the sentence meaning. Now what is expected of these words? There should be an arrangement or order in a sentence. So it is not that any group of words can give rise to a sentence meaning. There is a particular kind of arrangement needed in a sentence in order to have the sentence meaning. Only then you can have the proper syntax. So the syntactical relation of one word to another word, and this syntax, when you will arrive at the syntactical relation, only if the words are arranged in a particular series or particular order. For example, in Sanskrit, of course, if we analyze, it varies from language to language. For example, when I say Rama killed Ravana, the order cannot at all be changed in English. But in Sanskrit, if you take the same word, Ramena hataha vali, you can always make the subject and predicate vali Ramena hataha. Hataha vali Ramena. Even this would make sense in Sanskrit. So it is totally an inflectional language, Sanskrit, so that you are able to make sense of it even if it is arranged in a different way. But the relation of one word to the other, that has to be taken care of. That is very, very important. But what I want to say is, this arrangement need not matter much in the case of Sanskrit language, at least, as in the case of English. But basically, we evolve certain important factors in order to arrive at a sentence sense. So, what is that? Ramachandran, or pena kadikuma. So, the first one is expectancy or akanksha. Akanksha. The second one is yogyata or compatibility. Yogyata. Okay, I will manage with this. The third one is asakti or juxtaposition of words. So these three are considered to be essential factors which give rise to a sentential sense. Now, if you have to arrive at a sentential sense, at least you require two words. One is the kartruvachaka shabda, that is an agent, and the kriya or the action which he performs. So kriya karaka, these two are very, very important in order to, because with one word you cannot have a sentential meaning. So in order to have a sentential sense, you require at least 2 words, minimum of 2 words, and it can be more also. So there is a kind of relation among the words in a sentence, that a particular word is Kriya Bodhaka and another is Kartru Bodhaka, Karaka. That is, then among those words there is a kind of relation. That is, when I utter the word bring the cow, Gam Anaya, then in Sanskrit it is Gam Anaya. Then this word which conveys the sense of the act of bringing, if it is uttered alone, then it cannot give rise to Anaya. Means what? There is always an expectancy on the part of this word, because it cannot give rise to a complete sense unless you are provided with the object that is to be brought, unless you are provided with the sense of the object that is to be brought. Anaya means what? You have been standing for a while, what Swamiji has told me, he has asked me to bring something of what? Then immediately he says Gam Anaya, something he says. So that is provided by the word Gam Anaya. So there is expectancy on the part of each and every word, which you call in Sanskrit as Paraspara Akanksha. Each and every word, if it is a Kriya Bodhaka Shabda, then it expects a Kartruvachaka Shabda, by whom that Kriya or the action should be performed. So there is, in a sentence, each and every word expects, or Paraspara Akanksha, there is Paraspara Akanksha, expectancy on the part of each and every word constituting a sentence, without which it cannot give rise to a complete sentence sense. So this kind of expectancy is there in each and every word constituting a sentence. So what happens is, there again, that the sequence also is very important. For example, Gauhu, Ashwaha, Purushaha. So these words, Gauhu, Ashwaha, Purushaha, if they are just enumerated as Gauhu, Ashwaha, Purushaha, they will not give rise to any valid sentential sense. So this Gauhu means what about cow? What about Ashwa? There is a kind of expectancy. So these words by themselves cannot give rise to sentential sense. So that is what he says in the commentary. Padarthanam Paraspara Jignasa Vishayatvam Akanksha, means every word has got an expectancy. Jignasa Vishayatva Yogyatvam in Vedanta Paribhasha he says. Jignasa Vishayatva means when somebody utters the word Gam, immediately there is a jignasa, whether this Akanksha is a factor that is present in the padas or on the part of the hearer, that is a separate discussion. Now with Akanksha, somebody utters the statement and the hearer has Akanksha, what is he going to utter next in order that I may have a complete sentence? So he says Anaya. Anaya means what? So what should I bring? So this kind of expectancy is there on the part of the hearer also. So he expects another word by the side of this Anaya, so that he would have the complete sentence sense in order to have pravritti. Now as far as this text is concerned, he says Paraspara Padarthanam, it is a Padartha Dharma. He says Padarthanam Paraspara Jignasa Vishayatvam Akanksha, means every word expects another word by its side, which related to which it could give rise to a complete sentence sense. So he says Gataha Asti Ityadav Gata Padartha Asti Padarthayoho Paraspara Akanksha Sarvanubhava Siddha. When we say pot means what about pot? Then immediately the word Asti is provided by its side. So you have the complete sense, pot exists. Likewise, when I say just merely exists means what exists, then if the word pot is provided, then you have the complete meaning of pot existing. So this kind of, there is a kind of expectancy on the part of each and every word to convey a particular sense, and associated with which it could give rise to a complete sentential sense. That is called Akanksha, and that is considered to be one of the important causes giving rise to verbal cognition. And then the second one is Yogyata. Yogyata means it is not that you require a kriyavachaka shabda and kartravachaka shabda. So I utter a statement like this: Vannina sinchati. Vannina sinchati means he sprinkles with fire. He sprinkles with fire. Now this sentence is grammatically correct sentence. There is no grammatical error in this sentence. Vanni padottara tritiya vibhakti. So vanni karanaka sechana kriya. So it conveys the sense of the act of sprinkling which has to be performed with the help of fire. But you see, Gadadhara Bhatta, he takes an example. Gataha akasham na pashyati. Gataha akasham na pashyati. Pot does not perceive either. Is this a correct sentence or not? It is a correct sentence. Grammatically it is correct. Pot gataha akasham na pashyati means it fulfills all rules of grammar. You cannot find any grammatical error in this sentence. It is a correct sentence. But is it a meaningful sentence? No. So there is a lot of difference between correct sentence, grammatically correct sentences and meaningful sentences. It is not enough if they are grammatically correct. They should also prompt you or desist you from doing some activity. Only then such statements alone can be called valid statements. So anything you cannot make anything that comes to your mind and grammatically correct sentences only. No, I cannot be uttering sentences which are grammatically correct but do not make any sense at all. What you will not understand anything. So it is not the case that we make use of only grammatically correct statements, but those statements which should also be meaningful in nature. So that is what we are trying to explain when we explain Shabda Pramana. So here Vannina Sinchati. Now what happens? Vannina Sinchati means, it means sprinkling, that it says act of sprinkling with fire. Now this act of sprinkling with fire is incompatible because we have heard or we have known that act of sprinkling can go with only jala or water. So if I utter the statement jalena sinchati, sprinkling with fire, then it is a meaningful sentence and there is compatibility. Compatibility means for the artha or the meanings conveyed by the two words, they can go hand in hand or they can get related to each other to give rise to a complete sentence sense. Whereas Vannina Sinchati means Sechana Kriya and Vannikaranaka Sechana Kriya is aprasiddha. Nobody can be prompted to do such an act. Nobody will be ever ready to do such an act also. So he says Tatparya Vishaya Samsargasya Abadaha. There should not be sublation for the word meanings constituting a sentence. And what is that meaning? Tatparya Vishaya Samsarga, the relation among the word meanings, and which is the true import or the purport of the speaker. So such a Tatparya, when I say Jalena Sinchati means, I mean to convey that it should be sprinkled with water. So Tatparya Vishaya Samsargasya Abhadaha Yogyata. And what is the example given? Yatha Jalena Sinchati Ityadau. Jala Sechana Yoho. Jala conveys the sense of water. Sechana is the act of sprinkling. Jala Sechana Yoho Samsargasya Abhadaha. There is no sublation for this meaning conveyed by the two words. Abhadaha Vidyate Iti Tayoho Yogyata. Whereas consider the example Vannina Sinchati, you will arrive at a meaning, but that it is a grammatically correct sentence, but that meaning is not a correct meaning or it will not prompt you towards any activity. So Jalena Sinchati is a correct sentence, Tayoho Yogyata. So when we are using statements or when we are uttering sentences, we have to see to it that it's not a combination of any word, any Kriyavachaka Shabda, Kartravachaka Shabda, Karanavachaka Shabda. These cannot be just like that arranged in a particular order, but there should also be compatibility or congruity among the word meanings. That is called Yogyata in the Padarthas. Then the third one is Avyavadanena Padajanya Padarthopastitihi, and this word is very, very important. This asati or juxtaposition in the words constituting a sentence. And he uses the word avyavadanena padajanya padartha upasthitihi. Each word is important in this definition. Padartha upasthiti. You arrive at the sentence meaning from the word meanings. See, sentence meaning can be arrived at only from the word meanings, isolated word meanings in a sentence. Now this padartha upasthiti means jnana, knowledge. Knowledge of the padarthas, knowledge of the word meanings in a sentence. Now, where from it has arisen? It must arise from the padas. It must arise from, it is padajanya padartha upasthiti. He says, padajanya padartha upasthiti. Padartha upasthiti means knowledge. Now, padartha upasthiti means knowledge, and where from it should arise? It should arise from pada. Now, I will reserve it for explaining later. I will first explain avyavadanena. Avyavadanena padajanya padarthopasthitihi. Now, this concrete example of gam anaya, somebody utters the word gam and keep quiet for a while. Then after some time, say 5 minutes or so, he says anaya. Now the hearer will be at a loss to understand what should he bring, because he would have already forgotten what the person said, or only anaya is said. So what did you say, sir? You are just telling only gam. What should I do? So this kind of, there will be a kind of ambiguity on the part of the hearer. So, and it should also not be the case one word overlapping on the other so as not to be understood by the hearer at all. So far somebody speaks very, very fastly, as I did in my first class. Very, very fast, bubbling with all energy, seeing all your faces, so much of audience, very recipient audience, no, receptive audience. I could not control myself. So you have to pardon me for that. And then now that on the day of valediction, you will feel whether there is asakti at all. I will slowly talk that, madam, please talk fastly, madam. We are not able to have any sentential meaning at all. So there is a kind of, you should speak very measured manner so that it should be understood by the hearer. So if you have vyavadana, if there is constant impedance among the words, so that the hearer is not able to associate the words in a sentence and arrive at the sentential meaning, then that is also wrong, and that cannot give rise to a sentential sense. So, avyavadana, without any vyavadana or the impedance, there should not be any block between one word and another. The words should be uttered sequentially and without long intervals, isn't it? It should not be too fast, and long intervals also should not be there. Suppose somebody talks, you will feel like asking, please come to the operative part. They will be beating around the bush, or they will be talking very slowly without conveying the important meaning of it. So speaking is an art. Speaking is an art. It is not that anybody can speak. Speaking, in order to make the other person understand and without giving them any kind of impatience, you have to speak. So avyavadanena means without any vyavadana or without any interval or without long gaps, you have to utter a statement so that the other person can easily have the meaning of the sentence. So avyavadanena padartha upasthiti. Now why the word padajanya is given? Padajanya padartha upasthiti. Sometimes what happens is, you are sitting inside a room where somebody is not supposed to enter at all. Say for example, in old orthodox Brahmin houses, if they are taking food, nobody is supposed to go through that area. And then what happens, if anybody happens to cross that area, immediately somebody will shout, oh, kadav, kadav, kadav. They will shout, door, door, door. They will not say what it is. Immediately the other person understands and he closes the door. So dwaram, this is somebody what? Dwaram, this is what? The other person, dwaram, kadav, kadav, kadav. Otherwise, when there is much of wind, you have to place the stone over there so that the door doesn't close. So in such cases what happens? You do not utter the full statement. You only partially utter the statement dwaram. Then immediately the other person understands the sense that he has to close the door. So immediately he goes, he runs and he closes the door. Now, in the absence of a word which could convey the sense of closing the door, he has arrived at that sense, isn't it? So, there also the Advaitins say that if he has arrived at the sense of dwaram pidehi means, that means he has supplied that word pidehi. Pidehi the pada upastapaka vina, pidehi the pada upastitim vina, he would not have closed the door. So, he has supplied that word. If he has not, if it is not padajanya padarthopasthiti, then it cannot be considered as valid verbal cognition at all. Verbal cognition is bound to arise only from a sentential sense. But he has uttered only one word. That is not a sentential sense. So, in order to account for the sentential sense which he has arrived at, the Advaitins say that is the pidehi, the word pidehi which would convey the sense of closing the door has been supplied there, and from such a pada only he has arrived at the sense of the sense of closing the door. So all this happens in a fraction of a second. So he supplies the word pidehi there when the word dwaram is uttered. So there also it is padajanya padartha upasthiti. So avyavadhanena padajanya padartha upasthiti, that is called asatti or juxtaposition among word meanings. So these three are considered to be expectancy, compatibility or asatti or juxtaposition among word meanings. These three are important causes giving rise to verbal cognition. So he says avyavadhanena padajanya padarthopasthitihi asattihi yatha gam anaya ityadau goho anayanasya cha. You have to imagine a person uttering gam and after an interval anayana if he utters, then such a sentence cannot give rise to sentential meaning. Please. No, that is pidehi, that is treated in arthapati. When I deal with arthapati, I will drishtarthapati and shrutarthapati. That has been classified under shrutarthapati. I will explain that. So, goho anayanasya cha akanksadimatam padana yaha samuhaha. The group of words which are possessed of this expectancy, akanksha, yogyata and sannidhi, sayeva vakyamityuchyate, that alone is called a sentence. And then he says, natu vayyakarananam iva atiriktam shakyartha bodhako akshara sangata eva padamityuchyate. For the vayyakaranas, he gives the vayyakarana position. Shakyartha bodhaka means that which is capable of giving rise to a primary meaning. Shakyartha bodhaka. Akshara sangata, group of syllables. Akshara sangata eva padamityuchyate. For the Naiyayikas, the concept of pada and vakya for the Naiyayikas is totally different from that of the grammarians. For the grammarians, it is subantam tingantam cha padasamyamsya. A pada, subantam tingantam, both it's a declension as well as a conjugation. So both these are considered to be pada. For the Naiyayikas, it is shaktam padam. Any word that is associated with the potency to convey a meaning, that is a pada. So shaktam padam and pada samuhaha vakyam. That is why in the Panchavaya Vakya, if you look into the Panchavaya Vakyas, Dhumat iti hetu Vakya, he says. Dhumat is a Panchami Vibhaktiyanta pada for the grammarians. For the grammarians, it is Panchami Vibhaktiyanta pada. But for the Naiyayikas, it is a Vakya. Dhumat iti hetu Vakya. Why? It consists of two components. One is Dhuma, which is the Pradipadika. It gets dried up. I should close up. Dhuma plus Nyasi, which is the Panchami Vibhakti. So this conveys the sense of Pratipadika and this conveys the sense of fifth case. This is a pada and this is a pada, and the combination of these two Dhumat, that is a Vakya. So that is why he says Dhumat iti hetu Vakya. So the concept of pada and vakya differs vastly with regard to the grammarians and the Nayayikas. So Natu, so he says Shakyartha Bodhakaha Akshara Sangata Eva Padamityuchyate. Natu Aksharebhyaha Atiriktam. It is only the Akshara Sangata or the group of the syllables that constitutes a pada. Ekam Padam, Ekam Vakyam, Ityadi Vyavaharastu, Sangata Aikya Nibandanaha. It purely rests, or it rests on this condition. What is that? Ekam Padam, Ekam Vakyam, Ityadi Vyavaharastu, Sangata Aikya Nibandanaha. It is purely dependent upon the association or the group of syllables. When there are group of syllables, then it is a pada. When there are group of words, then it is called a vakya. So ekam padam, ekam vakyam, ityadi vyavaharaha, shabda prayogastu, sangata aikya nibandanaha, iti bodhyam. And now we go on to explain. We have just now we have introduced the word Thyat Shaktam Padam iti iryate. In this verse, Shaktam Padam iti iryate, Vakyam Shabda Pramanam. And what is pada? Pada according to the Nayayika is Shaktam Padam. So he says Shakti Padartham Nirupayati, Shaktihi Sanketayityeke, Padarthantaram Ityapi, Grihita Shaktehe Tatparya Grahat, Vakyartha Dhir Bhavet. Now we have to explain the concept of pada according to the Nayayikas. It is Shaktam Padam. That is, every word is associated with associated with a potency to convey a meaning. So a pada is called, pada or a word is called, it is associated with the Shakti. So it is called Shakta, means Shakti Vishishta. That which is associated with the Shakti, Shakti Vishishtaha, Shaktaha. And through this potency, what does it convey? It convey an artha, and that is called Shakyartha. So artha is Shakya, and pada is Shakta. Means pada is associated with the Shakti, through which it conveys a sense, which is called Shakyartha. So artha is called Shakya and pada is called Shakta. Now Shaktam Padam, Shaktam Padam itiryate. Now he says Shaktihi. Now what is this? The word pot would convey the sense of pot. Word Gataha conveys the sense of. So whenever the word pot is uttered, you are able to associate with its sense pot, and you recollect this meaning whenever the word Padapadartha Sambandha Artha Smritihi Jayate. So universally there is an experience that whenever the word pot is uttered, all of us are able to recollect the sense of pot and not otherwise. So there is a kind of relation. We cannot call it as an inherent relation. It's a kind of relation that is which is present between the pada and artha. It's artha. So this is a kind of inseparable relation between the two, that whenever something, one of these two is known, that is, one of these two means always a pada alone will be known in a sentence, immediately you are able to recollect the meaning of that word. So now why is it that whenever the word pot is uttered, you are recollecting only pot and not otherwise? Then for that the Nayayika says that it is the desire on the part of Ishvara that a particular word would convey a particular sense and not otherwise. So asmat padat, gata iti padat, gatarup asmat padat ayam artho bodhavyaha. When the word pot is uttered, universally it should give rise to only this sense and not of any other sense. There is a kind of relation between a word and its sense, and who has determined or who has fixed this kind of Shakti, who has concluded this word pot should convey only this sense, it is the desire on the part of Ishvara. But there is a difference of opinion among the Nayayikas themselves, because nowadays, there are handful of words which we have been using in the Nyaya system. All those let Ishvara has the desire, that the word Gata and Pata, which have been quite often used by the Nayayikas, they convey this sense. But there are nowadays, when we name the children, the child, some name, even adjectives are given as names. Sometimes, you cannot even think of certain names as names at all. Now Lavanya means a person who is beautiful. That is what Lavanya itself is given as the name. And sometimes nicknames also we keep. And for all these words, is it the desire on the part of Ishvara? You call a person Bunty. You would have kept some name, but you will be calling him Bunty, Tuklu, some name, some nicknames. But will Ishvara have such a desire that such and such person, isn't it? Whether this person, this word is connotative of this individual, will Ishvara entertain such a desire at all? Is the Nayayikas Ishvara, is such an ordinary person to think that way? So the Navina Nayayikas, they somehow thought upon this kind of explanation, and they said it is not the desire on the part of Ishvara, but it is Ichaiva Shaktihi. They just reduced it, Ichaiva Shakti. Now if it is Ichaiva Shaktihi means, he also gives an example, Ekadashe Ahani Pita Nama Kuryat. On the 11th day, the father keeps a name for the child. So what will be the desire of Ishvara? Whatever name that is given by the father to the child, that name will be connotative of that individual. This is the Ishvara's desire. Now Ishvara does not interfere in the desire of the father. Is it all right? Now Ishvara allows you to have your own desire. But in order to maintain the definition that it is Asmat Padat Ayamarto Bodhavyaha iti Ishvara Sanketaha Shaktihi, the Navina Nayayikas a little bit, they stretch this explanation, Ichaiva Shaktihi says, and this kind of desire, who determines whatever be the name, whatever you want to call, you give the name, keep on giving names. Now I will maintain a kind of general desire that whatever you wish to give the name of a particular individual, you please keep the name. So I will have the desire on the form, let this be connotative, whatever the name that has been given, let it be connotative of that particular individual. So this is how they have narrowed down the definition as Ichaiva Shaktihi. So Shaktihi Sanketaha Ityeke. So one set of the Nayayikas say Shaktihi Sanketa Ityeke, and then the other set of Nayayikas also speak of Shakti as a Padartantara. Padartantaram Ityapi. Padartantaram Ityapi means that is, there are two kinds of Shakti, that is Adheya Shakti and Sahaja Shakti. Means fire has got the potency to burn your hand, there is a kind of Shakti or potency. Should we not admit it as a separate category? Shaktehe Padartantaram. So there is a group of Nayayikas. Adheya Shakti means when you are washing the vessel with a kind of this brush, and some utensils when you are washing, what happens that the brass which has turned to be green in color, then that is being polished, and because of the Adheya Shakti, because of the Shakti that is present in it, it gets cleaned. So there is some kind of Shakti. The Mimamsakas think we have to accept a principle called or a Padartha called Shakti. So one group Padarthantaram Ityapi. So in the commentary he says Ekaha Padarthantaram iti Ekaha. There is a group of Nayayikas which also, the Navina Nayayikas, they don't bother about the classification of the Padarthas, whether it is Savana, Pratyogitvam Padarthantaram. Whatever you want as whatever you feel that it is a Padarthantaram, what is the harm in admitting? Okay, admit it as a Padartha. So there is a group of Nayayikas who also admit sometimes Shakti as a Padarthantara. Now we have been speaking of this Shakti which is present between the Pada and Padartha, and what is the nature of that Shakti we have explained in the first half of the verse. Shaktihi Sanketaha Ityeke Padarthantaram Ityapi, and this is also considered to be Padarthantara. And Grihita Shaktehe And how will you have the sentential sense or verbal cognition? Grihita shaktehe tatparya grahat vakyartadihi bhavet. Now you have comprehended the shakti that is present in your word, and it is not the case. Consider, for example, there is a word, there are nanarthaka shabdas. There is a word in Sanskrit, Saindava, Saindavam Anaya. Saindavam Anaya. Bring salt. Now Saindava means this is a word conveying two senses. One is salt and another is horse. Now this word is a Shaktam Padam. It is a Shakta Pada. But this Shakti is related to conveying this sense as well as this sense. Take the case of Hari. The word Hari conveys Manduka. It always also conveys the sense of a Kapi, also conveys the sense of Lord Vishnu. So how will you fix up the meaning in such cases where both meanings can be employed or both meanings could be arrived at? Saindavam Anaya. So he says Shakti Grahaka, Shakti Grihita Shaktehe Tatparya Grahat. Now how will you fix up the Shakti that is present? On what basis will you consider Saindavam Anaya means? Suppose a king is going to wage a war and he is in the threshold of going out of his palace. He says Saindavam Anaya, nobody brings the salt there, and so okay sir, you asked the Saindavam. So immediately he understands, oh, a horse should be but Saindavam Anaya. And then in the prakarana of taking food, Saindavam Anaya means nobody brings a horse there. Saindava means what is it? So it is on the basis of this Tatparya or the import of the intention of the speaker is arrived at on the basis of the prakarana or the context, and then the word, the Shakti that is present in the word, that is being ascertained. So Grihita Shaktehe Tatparya Grahat. How do you ascertain the Shakti of the particular word in a particular context? So Tatparya Grahat. And how do you understand the intention of the speaker also? That is on the basis of the context. So he says Grihita Shaktehe. So the Shakti should be comprehended. And how do you comprehend the Shakti in that particular word when it is a nanarthaka shabda? So Grihita Shaktehe Tatparya Grahat Vakyartadihi Bhavet. There arises the sentence sense. So he says Asmat Padat Ayamartho Bodhavyaha iti Ishvara Icha Ityartaha. Swamiji, what I will do is, now that I have explained, I don't go into the whatever is there in the commentary I have explained. Suppose there is time in the last day, I will read out whatever is left out in the commentary, I will go through. I want to finish the entire text, but whatever is there in the commentary, I have explained in the verse. Now then, the last sentence alone I would like to read. Vakyartha Jnana Sahakari Karanamaha. What is the auxiliary cause? Tatparyeti. Tatparasya Bhavaha Tatparyam. Tatparatvam cha. What is meant by Tatparatva? Tatpratiti Janana Ichaya Ucharitatvam. The word Saindava has been uttered with the sole desire, with the desire that it could give rise to either the meaning of salt or the meaning of horse, as the case may be. So if it is a Bhojanam Prakarana, then it means salt. If it is something else, then it means the horse. So Tatpratiti Janana Yog, Tatpratiti Janana Ichaya Ucharitatvam. The speaker has uttered this word in order to convey the sense of salt if it is a Bhojana Prakarana, or otherwise if it is in the sense of some other, then it is uttered with the sense of conveying the sense of horse. So Tatpratiti Janana Ichaya Ucharitatvam. Saindavam Anaya Ityadau Bhojana Kale Lavana Pratitihi Vaktuhu Tatparyam Anuruddhyaiva Jayate. So the hearer understands the intention of the speaker and he immediately brings salt. So iti tasya tatra means tatparyasya tatra tadrisha vakyartha bodha kale sahakaritvam abhyupagantavyam. One has to admit that it is an auxiliary cause, tatparya, in addition to akanksha, yogyata and asakti. Tatparya also has to be included as a sahakari karana or auxiliary cause giving rise to sentential sense. Then vakyartham nirupayati samsargo va vishishto va vakyartha samudahritaha gam anaya ityadi vakyam sambandhartasya bodhakam. So he says samsargo va vishishto va, whether you speak the relation among word meanings. Gam anaya means dandi purusha, when you say danda vishishtaha purushaha. So whether it is a vishishtartha or it is the samsarga, the relation among the word meanings, where the words stand in the relation of kriya, karaka, kartra, all these, whatever be the case, samsargo va vishishto va vakyartaha samudahrataha, there is a sentence sense. And gam anaya ityadi vakyam sambandhartasya bodhakam. What you should understand is, in a sentence, the relation among word meanings, that is being conveyed in the sentence. So gam anaya ityadi vakyam sambandhartasya bodhakam. Then bahudam padarthanam kartri karma kriya karaka bhavadi rupena parasparam samsarga eva vakyartaha ityartaha. There is a, they have been related, interrelated. There is a syntactical relation among the words in a sentence, among the word meanings. How do they stand in relation? Kartri, karma, kriya, karaka bhavadi rupena, parasparam samsarga, they have been interrelated. So this kind of relation is manifested in a sentence sense. Samsarga eva vakyartaha ityartaha. Vishishto va iti or samsarga vishishta. Eka padarte apara padartha samsargaha basate. This is one padartha, and there is difference of opinion among philosophers, Anvitabhidanavada and Abhitanvayavada. If there is time, I will come to this part later on after we finish this text. So Anvitabhidanavada and Abhitanvayavada, whether the sentences, whether the words cease to operate after giving rise to the word meanings. There is one theory which says the group of words in a sentence, they give rise to the word meanings and they cease to operate. It is the asakti or the juxtaposition among the words that takes care of giving rise to the sentential sense. And in some case, it is the padartha themselves goes to the extent of conveying the word meanings. That is one theory, Abhitanvayavada and Anvitabhidanavada. So he says Vishishtova means samsarga vishishta. The that is one padartha will convey a particular, one pada will convey a padartha, and that padartha will be associated to another padartha, samsarga vishishta. That is the samsarga or relation among the word meanings that is manifested in a cognition. Tatra adyamaha, that is kartri karma kriya karaka bhava. He explains tatra gam ityasya gauhu, what is that? Gauhu arthaha. Anaya ityasya anayanam arthaha. They will convey isolated meanings. Then vishishta vakyasya goho anayana kriyayascha yaha samsargaha kriya karaka bhava rupaha saha arthaha iti bhava. Then that goes on to convey that the word cow is the agent of the anaya, the act of bringing. So the word anaya conveys the sense of the act of bringing. Both of them join together and they convey a unitary sense that the cow is the act of bringing. Go karmaka anayana kriya. That is, this is the full sentence meaning which you arrive at. Kriya karaka bhava rupaha saha arthaha iti bhavaha. Etena padarthaiva vakyat vakyartopi tataha vilakshanaha vakya shaktya pratiyate iti vayyakarana mata nirasaha avagantavyaha. So padartha ceases to, then it ceases to operate. Then vakya, padarthas join together, then vakyat vakyartaha. This is what the Vaiyakaranas say. That has been negated. That is the padartha themselves or the samsarga, the relation among the padarthas, they go to give up the vakyartha. So padaireva padarthanam pratitehe tatra vakyasya shakti kalpana. That is the Mimamsakas, one set of Mimamsakas also admit shakti in vakya. The Nayayikas admit shakti only in pada, not in vakya. So padaireva padarthanam pratitehe tatra vakyasya shakti kalpana no chita ananyalabhya shabdarthaha iti nyaya. This is a nyaya admitted by the Mimamsakas. Ananyalabhya shabdarthaha means you arrive at the word meaning, Shabdartha, through Ananyalabhya. Ananyalabhyam, Shakti Lakshana, Anyalabhya. Ananyalabhya, either through Shakti or Lakshana. Ananyalabhya Shabdartha iti Nyayat. So, Padaireva Padarthanam Pratitehe, Tatra Vakyasya Shakti Kalpana Nochita. Shakti Lakshana Anyatara Labhya. Ananyalabhya Shabdartha means either you the word meaning can be arrived at either through Shakti that is present or Lakshana. Shakti Lakshana Anyatara Labhya. Word meaning can be arrived at in two ways, through two vrittis. Anyatara Labhya. Ananyalabhya Shabdartha. Dvitiyamaha Neelamutpalam ityadi Vishishtarthasya bodhakam ityadi laukikam vakyam aptoktam manavishyate. Now this Shabda Jnana, that is Shabda Pramana, is of two types. That is Vaidika Vakyas, the sacred statements, sacred texts are considered to be Pramanas, and secular statements when it is uttered by a trustworthy person, Apta Vakyam. So Neelam Utpalam ityadi Vishishtarthasya bodhakam ityadi laukikam vakyam aptoktam manavishyate pramanavishyate. Abheda samsarga vishittasya utpalasya bodhakam ityartaha. Now he takes a specific instance, Neelam Utpalam, blue lotus. He gives a specific instance as to how you arrive at the meaning. Neelam Utpalam. Now, the grammatical rule says two words which are in similar case endings, if they are juxtaposed, they will convey an identical sense. Now, the word Neelam, if it is uttered separately, it will convey the sense of blue. And Utpalam, if it is uttered separately, it will convey merely the sense of a lotus. But here, these two words are given in the Prathama Vibhakti. So, Neelam cha tat Utpalam. This is a Karmadharaya Samasa. Neelam cha tat Utpalam. So, Samana Vibhaktikanam Padanam, if they are juxtaposed, if they are placed side by side, then take for example the city of Madras. Raja Ashokaha means it is not, Raja is not different from Ashoka, king is not different from Ashoka. The city of Madras means Madras is not different from the city. You want to convey Madras, which is the city, king who is Ashoka. So also in the present case, Neelam Utpalam means when two words which have the similar case endings, if they are placed side by side, then they will convey a identical sense, Vishishtartha. So, Neela Vishishtam Utpalam, that is Neela Guna Vishishtam Utpalam. So, it conveys the sense of Utpala, which is blue in color. So, there is no, you cannot understand Neela as distinct from Utpala. As associated with Utpala alone, you can understand the sense of Neela. But if Neela is uttered in a different context separately, then you will have the blue color, knowledge of blue color separately. But in the present case, Neelam Utpalam ityadi Vishishtarthasya bodhakam means Abheda samsarga Vishishtasya Utpalasya bodhakam ityartaha means it conveys Neela Binnam Utpalam, that is Yayeva Neela Padarthaha Sayeva Utpala Padasyapi Arthaha ityartaha. That is Utpala, you do not want to convey Utpala devoid of this Neela Rupa. So, Neelam cha tata Utpalam Abheda samsargaha, there is a kind of the identity of Neela Rupa and Utpala, that means Yayeva Neela Padarthaha, that which is the sense of Neela, that is the meaning of Utpala Padartha, means Neela, you cannot make a distinction between this color Neela and Utpala. There is Abheda Samsarga. Abheda Samsarga means there is a relation of identity between Neela and Utpala. This is what is happening in all cases of karmadar, that is samana vibhaktika pada, when they are placed side by side. Abheda samsarga is manifested or conveyed. Yes, yes. Neelavinnam Utpalam, Utpalavinnam Neelam. Neelavinnam Utpalam will be the correct form of Shabda Bodha. You can understand it that way. But Neelavinnam Utpalam, that is the Shabda Bodha which you have from this Neelam Utpalam Ityadi. Abheda Samsarga Vishittasya Utpalasya Bodhakam Ityartaha. Atha Vakyana Laukika Vaidikatva Bedena Dvaividyam Abhiprayan Laukika Vakyanam Pramanye Hetumaha. How do you consider the secular statements? How do you treat them to be valid? When it is uttered by a trustworthy person. So, ityadi laukikam vakyam aptoktam manamishyate. It is considered to be pramana when it is uttered by a trustworthy person. Aptoktam iti. And who is apta? Aptastu yatartha bhashi. One who speaks as it is. One who does not exaggerate or one who does not speak otherwise. So he is an yatartha bhashi. So yatartha, you see, aptastu yatartha vakta, he says. Tarka sangraha, aptastu yatartha vakta. So aptastu yatartha bhashi. And then Vaidikanam tu vakyanam swatah pramanyamaha. So Vaidika vakya, they do not stand in need of any other pramana in order to be treated valid. They are intrinsically valid. Jyotishtomena yagena swargakamaha yajetahi ityadi vaidikam vakyam vidusham swartha bodhakam. Nobody goes to verify whether the statement is valid, because Vedic statement means it is nirapeksho ravaha. It is free from any defect. Nirapeksho ravaha shrutihi. How is a shruti defined? Nirapeksho ravaha shruti. It is free from any blemish, free from any defect. So, Jyotishtomena yagena swargakamo yajeta. The statement of the Vedic statement, one who is desirous of heaven should perform Jyotishtoma sacrifice. So, this sacrifice, should I perform this sacrifice or will it necessarily give rise to Swarga? Nobody wants to verify it, because we accept it. Whatever is uttered by the Vedic Vedas, we go blindly or we accept it. We have a belief in it. Jyotishtomena yagena swargakamo yajetahi ityadi vaidikam vakyam vidusham swartha bodhakam. Swartha bodhakam means swartha is mukhyartha. Swasya arthaha swarthaha. That means it conveys a direct meaning that if you are desirous of heaven, you must perform Jyotishtoma sacrifice. So, Vaidikam vakyam vidusham swartha bodhakam Jyotishtomena iti. Vidusham iti. Padapadartha jnanavatam. Vidusham, he says, Padapadartha, those who are possessed of the relation of the word to its sense. Padapadartha jnanavatam ityartaha. Swartheti. Swatayeva pramanabhuta artha bodhakam ityartaha. They do not stand in need of any other sentence or any other pramana in order to be treated valid. Swatayeva pramanabhuta artha bodhakam. They can give rise to a valid knowledge of their own accord. They don't require any other pramana. Vedic statements, they are swatah pramana. They are intrinsically valid. Swatayeva pramanabhuta. On the other hand, in the case of secular statements, you want to analyze a statement. See, there may be, sometimes there may be some persons, no, you must take that statement with a pinch of salt when he utters. Sometimes we say, no, don't believe him. No, you must always, if X has uttered this statement, you must always take that statement with a pinch of salt. You cannot take the face value of that. No. So we don't want to assign validity to any statement uttered by any person. We always look for the validity of that statement. Who is the person who has uttered this statement? Such is not the case with Vedic statements. It is intrinsically valid. Swatayeva pramanabhuta artha bodhakam ityartaha. Then we go to the next verse. Jyotishtomena yajeta ityatrapi samsargayeva vakyartaha ityaha. Jyotishtomena yajeta. When it is said, those who are desirous of heaven must perform Jyotishtoma sacrifice. So Jyotishtomena yajeta ityatrapi samsarga. Jyotishtoma is the yaga. It is the karana for the attainment of the result in the form of heaven. So yagastu karanam tatra palam swargaha pratiyate. So yaga is the karana, Jyotishtoma yaga is the karana, or the instrument. Swarga, attainment of heaven, is the pala or result. So yagastu karanam tatra palam swargaha pratiyate, and then sadhya sadhana. So jyotishtomena swarga kamaha yajeta. So the tritiya vibhakti, which is found after jyotishtoma, that conveys the sense of karana. So sadhya, one is the sadhya and the other is the sadhana. Now what is the sadhya or the result that is obtained? Swarga is the sadhya, that result that is obtained. And what is the sadhana for it? Jyotishtoma yaga is the sadhana. So sadhya sadhana sambandha vakyarthastu pratiyate. So jyotistomena yajeta, when it is said, see the how do you arrive at the Shabda Bodha Prakriya? The Nayayikas analyze Jyotishtoma yaga karanaka, yaga nirupita, yaga nishta, karana nirupita, swarganishta, palatvam. That is, in swarga there is pala. So yaga nirupita, yaga nishta karyata, karanata nirupita karyata. Where is it present? It is present in the swarga. There is a kind of strict relation or binding between these two. If you perform Jyotishtoma yaga, then you will attain swarga. So in order to perform swarga, what should you do? You should perform only Jyotishtoma yaga, Darsha Purnamasa yaga. There are so many yagas prescribed in the Vedas. So this kind of sadhya sadhana sambandha. So on hearing this statement, what do you understand? Okay, if I want to perform, if I want to attain swarga, then I must perform Jyotishtomena swarga kamaha yajeta, means one must perform Jyotishtoma yoga. That becomes the sadhana or the sadhana for the attainment of swarga. Sadhya sadhana sambandha vakyarthastu pratiyate. Yagastu iti yaga swargayoho sadhya sadhana bhava rupa samsargayeva vakyarthaha. So in the sentential sense, in the verbal cognition, what do you arrive at? You arrive at this sense that yaga is the sadhana for the attainment of swarga, which is the sadhya. Atha mimamsakanam matam aha pravartakatvam vakyasya prahuhu mimamsakaha kila bodhakatvam pramanatvat kevalam vadinaha pare. Pravartakatvam vakyasya prahuhu mimamsakaha means jyotishtomena yajeta swargakamaha ityadi vidhi vakyanyeva purusham yage pravartayanti iti tesham matam. Now the Mimamsakas are of the view, any statement for them would be valid only if it prompts you towards some activity or desists you from performing some activity. Otherwise, action-oriented sentences alone are valid according to the Mimamsakas. That is why they contend that the Tattvamasi Mahavakya, all these are Siddhavastu Bodhaka. They only convey the sense of a Siddhavastu, that is Brahman. So they can either, it should be prefixed with a word conveying the sense of activity. So that is why it does not prompt you towards activity. Nahi kritakrityata. In Sutra Bhashya he says, it does not prompt you towards any activity. When the Mimamsaka puts a question, the Advaitins say, Alankaro hyasmakam yad brahmatmavagatau satyam sarva kartavyatahanihi kritakrityatacha. So it adds glory to our system, sir. It is bhushanam natu doshanam. Alankaro hyasmakam yad brahmatmavagatau satyam. After one realizes one's true nature as Brahman, yad brahmatmavagatau satyam sarva kartavyatahanihi, you cease to perform any activity. Sarva kartavyatahanihi kritakrityatacha. He is fulfilled, he has fulfilled whatever is to be accomplished. He has accomplished whatever is to be accomplished. So sarva kartavyatahanihi kritakrityatacha. So siddhavastu bodhaka vakyana, they are not considered to be valid according to the Mimamsakas. On the other hand, it is only the statements which are prefixed or suffixed to a word conveying the sense of activity, they will be treated as valid. So vidivakya means either it should be of the nature of a vidhi or injunction or enjoining some activity, or it should negate, or it should desist you, or it should prevent you from doing a nishidha karma, or it should desist you from doing an activity. So pravartakatvam, if it prompts you towards an activity, pravartakatvam vakyasya prahuhu jyotishtomena yajeta swargakamaha. No, there also, that is what the Mimamsaka says. Tatrapi pashya iti. You have to add some word which would convey the sense of activity. Nadyastire panchapalani santi. Now there also the Mimamsaka, kanyate garbini. All these sentences, no, they do not prompt you towards any activity. Even in such sentences, the Mimamsakas urge you to add a. Because the Vedic statements are such that either they prompt you towards an activity or desist you from activity. Otherwise, their statements will go invalid. Yes, yes. Even Laukika, yes.
While you are explaining three components of deriving meaning, you mentioned asakti. And we discussed that the listener can introduce a word. Mimamsaka doesn't accept introducing a word by the listener. They insist that the speaker only should add those words.
Where? No, in the case of asakti, it is totally different, because a single word by itself cannot give rise to a sentence meaning. Now, I have arrived at the sentence meaning, that is how I have gone to close the door. Because I am closing the door in the absence of a word which would convey the sense of closing. The other person shouts only door, door. I must be simply standing. But what I have done, I have adhyahara, I have supplied the word close, and then I have understood the meaning close the door, then I have gone to close the door. Now this is a case of supplying the word. This is a case of arthapatti pramana. That I will be doing in arthapatti. Now what exactly is your question? What do you want to know from this?
So I am saying in Mimamsaka, they are not accepting half statement. But listener can add their own words by asakti and then complete the statement.
Yes, yes, that is admitted. That is admitted. No, what I want to explain here is, Swamiji asked, in the cases of statement, this is a pot, will it not give rise to a sentential sense for the Mimamsakas? Even in such words, there must be some word which conveys a sense of an activity. Either a pot, there is a pot here, you look into it, or you take the pot, you set aside this pot, something should be there. That is what Siddhavastu Bodhakanam Vakyanam na Pramanyam. This is the thesis of the Mimamsakas. That is, statements conveying the existent entities, they cannot be treated valid. So they must be prefixed with a word conveying the sense of activity. So Pashya, something has to be prefixed there in order to obtain validity. So Jyotishtomena yajeta swargakamaha ityadi vidivakyanyeva. Vidivakyanya means statements which enjoin something, the performance of enjoining the performance of Jyotishtoma yaga. Vidivakyanyeva purusham yage pravartayanti. It prompts the purusha, it prompts a person to perform some activity or to perform the Jyotishtoma yaga. Pravartayanti iti tesham matam. This is what they hold, yes.
Suppose I don't want to go to Swarga, then it won't.
Okay, he is not insisting you to do. If you are desirous of heaven, you do this yaga. If you are not desirous, don't do the yaga.
Then it will not propel me to activity. Then it cannot become a pramanika vakya.
No, that is Purusha vyapara kartum akartum anyatha kartum. That is, see, if you don't do it, somebody else does it. Yes, not all the persons. There are some persons who are always performing yagas, isn't it? So that on that ground, it will not be treated invalid. Yes. So, tesham matam. Yatra tu vakyeshu pravartana bodhakam ling tavyadi nasti tesham na bodhakatvam cha ite manyante. Not only that, no, the potential suffix ling lot tavya pratyaya swarga kamo yajeta, this is a potential suffix, you know, yajeta swarga kamaha. So those sentences which are possessed of ling lot tavya pratyaya, they alone are conveying the sense, they alone are capable of conveying sense of enjoining something. Ling lot tavya gatita vakyanyeva pravartakatvam, they alone convey the sense of, or they alone prompt you towards activity. Tesham yatra tu vakyeshu pravartana bodhakam ling tavyadi nasti means siddha bodhakanam vakyanam, that is nadyas tire pancha phalani santi. There are 5 fruits in the nadi tira. Now what does it matter? Let it be. Somebody says, no, nadyas tire pancha phalani, there is a ghost in that tree. Let it be. What does it matter if there is a ghost? It does not prompt you towards any activity. So, ling lo yatra tu vakyeshu pravartana bodhakam ling tavyadi nasti tesham na bodhakatvam cha iti te manyante paretu na tesham pravartakatvam kintu swargadi ishta sadhanata bodhakatvam vadanti iti bhavaha. And there are some mimamsakas who also maintain the view that the question you asked, they may not prompt you towards activity, but they merely convey this sense. Whether it is, whether you want to perform that sacrifice or not, it is for you to decide. It is your own will and desire. So, kintu swargadi ishta sadhanata, the Vedic statements, they merely convey that yaga is ishta sadhana. The ishta sadhana, the swarga is ishtam. For that, ishta sadhanata exists in yaga. So, ishta sadhana, yagam prati ishta sadhanam, swargam prati ishta sadhanam kim? Yagaha. So, ishta sadhanata kutra vartate? Yage vartate. So, yaganishta karyata, swarganishta karyatanurupita ishta sadhanata yage vartate. So, yaga swargadi ishta sadhanata bodhakatvena vadanti iti bhavaha. Then, swasiddhantamaha, swasiddhantam is Advaitin Siddhanta, ishta sadhanata jnanat kriti sadhyata puman pravartate swayam tasmat vakyam naiva pravartakam. Says ishta sadhanata jnanat kriti sadhyata puman. If you know that the performance of yaga will give rise to swarga, then ishta sadhanata jnanat, when you have such ishta sadhanata jnana, then immediately kriti sadhyata puman, he immediately he enters into action. Kriti sadhyata, there is a pravritti. Pravartate swayam tasmat vakyam naiva pravartakam. You see, the child suckles the mother immediately after it is born. Now, who teaches that it is ishta sadhanam, madishta sadhanam? It will appease my hunger. Who teaches the child? The child knows of its own accord. So, the pravritti need not depend upon the Vedic statements. Pravritti can be explained. That is idam madishta sadhanam. If I go to idam madishta sadhanam, if I go to Adi Shankaranariyam, I will be knowing so much in the classes. No, idam madishta sadhanam. So you take a bus, you take a train, you take a flight, you come to Veliyanad. So this is the root cause of pravritti. What is the root cause of pravritti? Not because it is enjoined in the Vedas. Idam madishta sadhanam. If you have the knowledge that something is conducive in giving rise to my desire, then immediately I will be prompted towards performing that activity. So he says, ishta sadhanata jnanat kriti sadhyata puman. That is why he enters into action. Kriti sadhyata puman pravartate. Men, ordinarily, men in world, they are prompted towards performing activity. Why? Idam madishta sadhanam, on the basis of the knowledge that this will be conducive of giving rise to whatever I need or whatever I desire. So swayam pravartate, they are prompted towards activity, or they perform activity of their own accord. Tasmat vakyam naiva pravartakam. Don't insist that it is only the Vedic statements which enjoin you or which prompt you towards activity. This is again, see, to have a contention that the Mimamsaka say that it should be prefixed with a verb which contains that it should be prefixed with a word yajeta, ling lot tavya gatita vakyam eva pravritti janakam. So in order to say that tasmat vakyam naiva pravartakam, he says itteti ebihi vakyaihi ishta sadhanatva bodhyate. All these sentences which the Mimamsakas have so far said, they merely convey the sense that performance of yaga gives rise to the desired result, namely the attainment of heaven. So, ebihi vakyaihi ishta sadhanatvameva bodhyate. Tadanantaram, it merely conveys that it is a ishta sadhana. And then, tadanantaram purushaha swakriti sadhyatvam nischitya swayameva tatra pravartate. It is for him to decide whether he should perform Jyotishtoma Yoga or not. Sadhyatvam. So he comes to know that the performance of Jyotishtoma Yoga will result in the attainment of heaven. And then Swakriti Sadhyatvam Nischitya. So I have to perform Jyotishtoma Yoga if I want to obtain Swarga. So Nischitya Swayameva Tatra Pravartate. He performs, or he is prompted towards performing Jyotishtoma Yoga of his own accord. Na tatra pravartakapeksha ityashayaha. Nobody need prompt him towards such an activity. So na tatra pravartakapeksha ityashayaha. Tatra means pravrittau. Pravartakapeksha. Nobody, you don't require a pravartaka who will prompt you towards doing. Pravartakapeksha ityashayaha. Kincha Vakyanam pravartakatvam sutaram anupapannam. Not only this is unintelligible also. Vakyanam pravartakatvam, that to say that the sentences are prompting towards some activity, this also is unintelligible. Sutaram anupapannam ityaha saptadvipavati. The examples which I have stated already, saptadvipavati prithvi, and then putraste jataha. A son is born to you. Somebody says a son is born to you. It does not prompt you towards any activity. It is a merely statement of fact. It's a statement of fact. Putraste jata ityapi vakyat vakyartha bodhastu jayatehi vinakritim. He merely has the meaning of the sentence. Vinakritim, he is not. Sometimes my students, sometimes they ask me the question, Putraste Jataka, he immediately jumps from the chair and he shouts, I have a son is born to me. All these things happen, sometimes. It prompts him towards horripilation, all these things. But normally Putraste Jataha, Kanyate Garbhini, all these statements are given as an example. Just they don't prompt you towards any activity. That is the Advaitins viewpoint. They say, Saptadvipa Bhumihi. It is associated with Saptadvipa. It consists of 7 islands. And then Putraste Jataha ityadi vakyani purusham nakvapi vyapare prerayati. It does not prompt you towards any kind of activity whatsoever. Ataha kriti That's what I told. Putraste Jataha, but normally Putraste Jataha, son is born to you, means if he is a person of a calm nature, no? Okay. You can, yeah? Yeah, Prerakatvam means Saptadvipa Prithvi, and also Nadyas Tire Panchapalani Santi. That is another example. Nadyas Tire Panchapalani Santi. There are 5 fruits on the shore of the tree. Nadyas Tire Panchapalani Santi. So, Ityadi Vakyani Purusham Nakvapi Vyapare Prerayati. Ataha Kriti Prayojakatvarupam Pravartakatvam Tesham Nopapadyate Ityaktaha. You cannot adduce that they prompt you towards some activity. Yattu Saptadvipavati Ityadi Vakyanam Iti Janahi. You please know that Prithvi is Saptadvipavati. Iti Janahi Ityadi Shesha Puranena. By adding, just as I said, when you asked Ayang Gataha means Pashya, you have to add a word which would convey the sense of activity. Iti Janahi, Iti Janihi, Ityadi Shesha Puranena. By adding such a statement, Pravartakatva Sthapanam, they want to establish that they prompt you towards such activity. Iti Janihi, Iti Pravartakatva Sthapanam, Tattu na Samyak. This is Vedantin's view. Tattu na Samyak. Shesha Puranena Jnana Chodane api. Even if you want to analyze this kind of knowledge by adding something. Sheshapuranena Jnana Chodanepi Sharira Vyapara Rupa Kritau Achodanat. See, iti janihi, if you say, okay, I know, even then there is no activity on my part. Saptadvipa Vachumati iti janihi. Even that is not going to serve the purpose for the Mimamsakas. So, Jnana Chodanepi, Sharira Vyapara Rupa Kritau Achodanat. So, it is not going to prompt him towards performing anything. He is not going to jump or do anything at all. So, Sheshapuranena Jnana Chodanepi, Sharira Vyapara Rupa Kritau Achodanat. And then Upasamharati Pravartakatvam Vakyasya Na iti Tasmad Vinishchitam Shaktya Lakshanaya Vapi Vakyam Swartam Prabodayet. Pravartakatvam Vakyasya Na iti. Vakya sentences do not prompt you towards any activity. Iti Tasmad Vinishchitam. It is the conclusive viewpoint of the Advaitins. But how do you arrive at the sentence meaning then? Shaktya Lakshanaya Vapi Vakyam Swartam Prabodayet. We have still 15 more minutes. Should I continue till the bell goes? So, Shaktya Lakshanaya Vapi Vakyam Swartam Prabodayet. Swartam means Mukhyartha or the Shakyartha. So, any word will convey its meaning . Now, the Nayayikas are our teachers. They say, Padajnanam tu Karanam. The intermediate cause is Padartha Upasthiti. Dwaram Tatra Padartha Dihi, Padartha Jnana. And then Shabda Bodhaha or verbal cognition. Now this Padajnana, on hearing the words in a sentence, you have Padartha Jnana. And then this Padartha Jnana, Padarthas join together to give rise to Shabda Bodha. Then in Muktavali he says, Padajnanam tu Karanam. Dwaram Tatra Padartha Dihi, it is Vyapara Dasadharanam Karanam. So Padajnana is the Karana and Shabda Bodha is the Pala. Dwaram Tatra Padartha Dihi. Then he adds in the second line, Shabda Bodhastu Palam, Tatra Vrittidi Sahakarini. Tatra Vrittidi Sahakarini means in order that Pada may give rise to Padartha Jnana or Padartha Smriti, what is required is this Vritti. Vritti is again a term. See, the Nayayikas use the word Vritti in a different sense, unlike the Advaitins use it to mean a mental state or mental modification. Now, the word Vritti is a common term to convey Shakti and Lakshana. Now, these two are the Vritti. They are designated as Vritti that is present in any particular word. Vritti. Padajnanam tu Karanam, Dwaram Tatra Padartha Dihi, Shabda Bodhastu Palam, Vrittidi Sahakarini. Vrittidi Sahakarini. Now, in giving rise to this Padartha Jnana, Pada must possess, Vritti, Pada has got a Vritti, and Vritti is Shakti Lakshana Anyatara Rupa. It is either Shakti or Lakshana. Now, every word or Pada has got two Vrittis, one is Shakti and the other is Lakshana. Now, through the significative power, these two are the significative powers present in a word. Now, through the significative power of Shakti, the word will convey a sense which is called Shakyartha, which is called the primary meaning. It's also called Mukhyartha. So, a word which is a Pada is associated with these two significative powers. One is Shakti and the other is Lakshana. So every word through the significative power called Shakti, it will convey a meaning which is called Shakyartha, or which is the primary meaning. And it will also convey another meaning through the secondary significative power. This is called the secondary significative power. Through the power significative power called Lakshana, it conveys another sense called Lakshyartha. This is the secondary meaning. So this is the primary significative power and this is the secondary significative power through which it conveys two different senses. One is Shakyartha, or the primary meaning, and the other is Lakshyartha, or secondary meaning. Now, Shaktya Lakshanaya vapi vakyam swartam bodhayet. So it would convey its meaning either through this primary significative power or through the secondary significative power. Now, Tatra Vrittidi Sahakarini means in giving rise to this Padartha Smriti or Padartha Jnana, a Pada depends on either of these two, that is Shakti or Lakshana. Normally, in normal circumstances, a word, any word will give rise to only the Shakyartha through the Shakti or the primary significative power in a sentence. Let us consider example Gangayam Goshaha, a group of houses on the Ganges. Gangayam Goshaha, group of houses on the Ganges. Now, the word Ganga normally would convey the sense of Pravaha, or the current of the river. That is the primary meaning, because through the Shakti that is present in the word Ganga, it conveys the sense of Pravaha. But now what happens in a sentence? In a sentence, if the word has to be related to the meaning, if one word meaning is to be related to another word meaning, we have also stated that there should be Artha Abhada. The Yogyata is one of the causes. So, if the Artha Abhadaha Yogyata, Akanksha, Yogyata, Asattihi, Tatparyam, all these are the contributive factors of the verbal cognition. So, if Gangayam Goshaha, this is a sentence. So, if Gangayam Goshaha, the word Ganga, through the primary significative power, if it conveys the sense of Pravaha, that is the Shakyartha, then the Gosha, the word Gosha, conveys the sense of group of houses. Now, the sentence as a whole will convey the sense of group of houses on the current of the river. Pravahe Ganga, Pravahe Gosha. But if the word Ganga has to convey the sense of through the primary significative power, if it has to convey the sense of the current of the river, then such a meaning is incompatible, or it does not go with the meaning of the other word in the sentence, or in other words, there is the group of houses on the current of the river is incompatible, because there cannot be group of houses on the current of the river. So, what we do is, the word Ganga, what does it do? It totally leaves out its primary meaning. What is the primary meaning? Pravaha. So, it totally leaves out its primary meaning and conveys a meaning that is related to it, related to the primary meaning. It does not even retain a part of the primary meaning, but something related to the primary meaning, because general definition of Lakshana is Shakya Sambandha Lakshana. You cannot see, a bus cannot convey the sense of a train, isn't it? So, because bus has only 4 wheels, whereas a train has got so many wheels. So, there must be some relation, some kind of relation, without which you cannot give the secondary meaning. But that secondary meaning in the present case, no part of the primary meaning is retained, it is totally left out. The current of the river is totally given up, but something related to the primary meaning, that is Gangayam Gosha, when you say bank of the current of the river on current of the river in Ganges. Now this word Ganga is going to convey the meaning through its secondary meaning. It conveys the sense of the banks of the river. The banks of the river. So the word Ganga secondarily conveys Ganga Tira. So Ganga Tira Vritti Gosha Tatparyakam. So it conveys the sense of Ganga Tira. Ganga Tire Goshaha means group of houses on the banks of the river Ganges. This becomes a valid statement, so meaningful. So Shaktya Lakshanaya Vapi, where, and we are going to also read where do you resort to Lakshana? Why do you resort to Lakshana? In the present case, there is an incompatibility, there is Anvaya Anupapatti. Otherwise, if you don't consider the meaning, secondary meaning of Ganga, then you cannot have any relation with the other word meaning. There cannot be any syntactical relation. Gangaya means, it means current of the river. Gosha, you cannot think of the Gosha or group of houses in the current of the river. So the word Gosha, Ganga, totally gives up its primary meaning and conveys a meaning that is related to it, namely the banks of the river. So the sentence as a whole conveys the sense of the group of houses on the banks of the river Ganges. So Shaktya Lakshanaya Vapi Vakyam Swartam Prabodayet Pravartakam iti Prasangat Vrittim Dvida Vibhajya Nirupayati Shaktya iti. So Prasangat, contextually, when we have come to remember what is meant by Shakti and Lakshana, Vrittim Dvida Vibhajya, he uses the word Vritti. We should not mistake it with the mental state. No, Vritti here means it's a common term given by the Nyaya school to mean Shakti and Lakshana. Shakti Lakshana Anyatara Rupa, it is called Vritti. Through Shakti or Lakshana. No, Shaktam Padam. Pada is defined as Shakta, Shakti Vishittam Padam. But sometimes, if through the primary power that is Shakti, it is not able to convey the Shakyartha, the word meaning, there is also another Vritti that is secondary meaning. It has got the secondary significative power. It has got two powers. One is the primary significative power and the other is secondary significative power. These two are collectively known by the name Vritti. So through the primary significative power, it conveys one sense. Sometimes this primary significative power fails to be conveyed. So that in those cases, the word, as a general rule, it should either convey Shakyartha or Lakshyartha. But where to have Shakyartha and where to have Lakshyartha has to be fixed in accordance with the context. So, present. Pardon? No. Pravaha means actual current of the river, where you cannot have the group of houses, isn't it? In as much as you are prepared to accept Tira, no, Ganga Pravaha Tira you cannot say, because Ganga means the current of the river. Yeah, you see, this is a case of Jahal Lakshana, where you totally give up because you cannot think of, you cannot imagine the group of houses on the Pravaha. Pravaha Tira, if you want to mean by the word Pravaha Ganga only, then it is admissible. Ganga, by the word Pravaha, if you want to convey the sense of Ganga, then it is admissible for the Nayayikas, for anybody for that matter. But if you are very particular about including the Shakyartha also in the Shabda Bodha, then it is not admissible. Either of the two alone can be admitted to manifest in the Shabda Bodha. Both meanings cannot manifest. Yes, we do admit Shakti, Shaktam Padam is we do admit. But at the same time, it is associated with two powers. Where the Shakti fails to operate, then you have to resort to Lakshana. That is what we are going to see in the immediately next verse, Anvayanupapatti, where there is unintelligibility in the syntactical relation among the word meanings, then you have a necessity to resort to Lakshana, Tatparyanupapatti or Anvayanupapatti. Where do you resort? It is not I don't want to just like that jump into Lakshana. Where there is Visham Bhungshva, Yashti Pravesha, there are so many sentences where we have to explain the sentence only by resorting to Lakshana. Hmm. 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 Yes. Well, that is for your sake of understanding, you may understand it that way. The Nayayika. No, no, you cannot say, because there is another vritti called Vyanjana vritti, which is admitted by the Alankarikas, through which there is a Vyangyartha. So how can you generalize? No, this is not admissible for the Nayayikas. Vrittiman Padam, if you say so, that means you have to admit all kinds of vritti. Shakti, Lakshana, Vyanjana, Vyapara. Vyanjana vritti also is there, through which it conveys a Vyangyartha. But the Nayayikas would not admit Vyangyartha, that is included under Anumana. There is a separate text written by Mahima Bhatta, where this, what is that called? Vyakti Viveka, where he includes Vyanjana vritti under Anumana. So Vrittiman Pada, that we cannot say. Shaktam Padam, and Shakti means the Lakshana is that which is related to Shakti. That is Shakya Sambandhaha Lakshana. That is the definition of, general definition of Lakshana. Shakya Sambandhaha Lakshana. Yeah, no. See, what he wants to convey by this word is Shakya Sambandhaha means, you have to understand this way, sir. The Lakshyartha, the secondary meaning, is one which is conveyed through the secondary significative power. And such a meaning must be one that is related to the primary meaning. It cannot be totally different from the primary meaning. That is why I gave the example. You cannot utter the word bus and say that it conveys the sense of train secondarily. It's a mode of transport, so it conveys the sense of train also. You cannot say. It must be something at least. See, if I say bus and if I say it conveys the sense of an omnivan, it is okay. It's somewhat related to the bus. But totally different from that, it is not admissible. That is why they give the definition Shakya Sambandhaha Lakshana, means as a matter of, general rule, a Lakshana or Lakshyartha is something which is conveyed by the secondary significative power, and the Lakshyartha is one which is related to the primary meaning. That is a general definition of Lakshana. Shakya Sambandhaha Lakshana. We look into the three types of Lakshana, it will become more clear then. So I think we will be able to finish the portion. Maybe wherever I have left out in the text also.